And welcome back to the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate all of you guys joining us very late on a Monday evening. I had a little bit of fun with you guys just a few moments ago on our NBA trade deadline special, so make sure you guys check that one out and make sure you guys join us the rest of the week. NBA trade deadline is the 8th. We'll have lives for you guys every single evening up and through the deadline there. Every single weekday evening, we bring you guys the latest from the MLB hot stove as well. So let's get to it. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure you follow us over on Twitter for now X, whatever you want to call it, at Upside SN, and on Facebook, Upside Sports Network. So first and foremost, let's talk about those Los Angeles Dodgers. What an offseason they're having. They continue to keep spending and trading and adding, doing everything to make this team an absolute behemoth out there in the NL West. They look like the odds-on favorite right now, along with the Atlanta Braves, to get to the NLCS and possibly win the World Series. In fact, I believe the odds in Vegas right now have them as one of the top 2 or 3 teams. So we'll see where they ultimately finish up. I still think they need to add a couple more pieces either to that lineup or to that rotation. They still look a little bit thin. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Of course, they could add Clayton Kershaw midway through the season. But as it stands right now, what have the Dodgers done today? Well, they've added another relief pitcher. They bring in Ryan Brazier, 2 years, $9 million. Could be a deal worth up to $13 million with incentives. They ended up trading also Caleb Ferguson to the New York Yankees today as well. So they're certainly wheeling and dealing. The Tampa Bay Rays have added possibly the best relief pitcher on the market, at least at this point, in Phil Maton. Good deal for them. When the Tampa Bay Rays see a pitcher on the market that they like and they get him, you got to wonder what they see in him and what kind of ceiling he still has. Maybe Phil Maton just scratched the surface of what he was able to do there in Houston. We'll see what next gear he has with the Tampa Bay Rays. They always seem to get even more out of any pitcher they do acquire, so we'll see how much further they elevate him. Remember what they did with Pete Fairbanks, the deal that sent Nick Solak to the Texas Rangers, who ultimately didn't work out. They have turned Pete Fairbanks into one of the best pitchers that they have in their system right now. I wonder if Phil Maton they view as somebody they can really elevate his game as well and see what new heights that he has in store of him. The biggest money, though, comes from the Kansas City Royals, who now have extended Bobby Witt Jr. on an 11-year deal that could be worth up to $288 million. They absolutely had to keep that player there. The long-term deal, all the player options and team options at the end of it. Great deal for both sides. They get the fan base rejuvenated. They've added so many pieces this offseason. That Royals team should at least be in the 70-win mark by the end of the season. We'll see where they ultimately finish. But this is a team that's really done some nice things this offseason. I really like that they've locked up Bobby Witt Jr. now. I like the pieces that they've added to that rotation. None of them by any means are long-term solutions, but it is a short-term solution until they get some of those minor league prospects to finally hit. The problem with the Royals the last several years is that when they went young, they were hoping these guys would develop and get better. They really didn't, and things just haven't gone well for them. The best deal that they've made so far over the last couple of years is the deal they made at the couple months before the trade deadline, and Aroldis Chapman going to Texas and bringing in Cole Ragans, a guy who was used sparingly out of the bullpen, was a starter in the minor leagues, used as a long reliever at the major league level with Texas. The Royals saw that and say, hey, we got a spot in our rotation. Our rotation's been terrible. We'll let you go out there and finish the season. He finished with a sub-3 earned run average, and his strikeout rate went up by 3 per 9. He's been fantastic in that starting rotation, probably going to be one of their top 2 starters for the season coming up. Singer had a down year last year. He probably gets the opening day nod, but make no mistake, Ragans performed significantly better than him last year. He should be their frontline starter when the season begins next year. This coming year anyway. We're almost to the spring training already. But hold on for the Royals. What they could do this year, might surprise a few of you. They might surprise, the people in the Central. That nobody's running away with that division. I still think the Twins probably the class of it. But, they've lost a lot of pieces now this offseason, and they're trying to retool a little bit on the fly. And there's some opportunity there for teams like the Guardians, the White Sox. The Tigers are everybody's favorite to make a nice jump up this year. But don't count out those Kansas City Royals. They're not anybody's doormat this year. They are probably going to win 70, we'll call it probably around 75 games is currently constructed, and if things break their way, maybe into that 80-win mark. So great offseason for Kansas City. The Texas Rangers, it seems like they're keeping their mouth shut until the judge agrees to the deal and makes that deal official with Diamond Sports Group about their television money. The reason why that's important is for Jordan Montgomery, one of the two best starters on the market, along with the Cy Young winner Blake Snell, are still out there waiting for the team for a team to go out there and give them the money that they want. And for Jordan Montgomery, he's probably going to get a deal in the range of 5-6 years, 150, 120 million, somewhere in there is where his market ultimately lies. But it sounds like he absolutely wants to go back to Texas, and that's why he's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for this Bally Diamond Sports Rangers deal to finally get done. Rangers were due to be given $110 million in TV money from that contract. It looks like it'll be reduced to $90 million. That's still very palatable for Texas, especially if they can get this TV deal done with Diamond Sports Group, or at least a long-term solution, financially solvent type of a deal for them to get done after this year. But at least for 1 year, it would solve their issues from a money perspective as far as knowing what they have to spend. And there's still guys out there on the market that would certainly help them out. When you look at Jordan Montgomery, he probably is number one on that list. They need another starter, at least early in the season. It sounds like they're going to go with Bradford as their number 5 starter. He was good at spots during the season last year, and I think he'd be good for about a month or two. But you're hoping to get guys like Maile and Scherzer and DeGrom back in the second half of the year. You have to get to that point first, and then you get into the postseason. Montgomery showed how good of a postseason pitcher he can be when given a chance. He was absolutely one of the biggest reasons Texas won the World Series last year. He and Nate Eovaldi, probably the two biggest reasons from a pitching perspective as to why they won. That and that bullpen performed so much better in the postseason than they did in the regular season. They still saw that as an opportunity to improve, and they have this offseason, bringing in Kirby Yates and David Montgomery. If this TV deal was hammered out already, I would not have been surprised at all if they brought in Josh Hader instead of him going to the rival Houston Astros. But now that this TV money hopefully gets this thing resolved, hopefully Texas can move forward with Jordan Montgomery, bring him back. I guarantee you the fan base has been clamoring for him. I get about 1 million notifications a day from Evan Grant posting and all the comments under his posts on Twitter saying, "Hey, stop tweeting about this stuff. Tell us when Jordan Montgomery's going to sign. Announce Jordan Montgomery to Texas." The fan base is absolutely rabid to bring back Jordan Montgomery if that deal gets approved by the judge. Remember, the Diamond Sports Group is going through bankruptcy right now. If that deal gets approved by the judge, we could see Texas go on a little bit of a spending spree. Now, the judge is supposed to make that deal, either approve that deal or deny that deal on the 9th. So keep your eyes peeled for a Friday decision and maybe a flurry of movement by Texas over the weekend. Orioles are under new ownership. Cal Ripken Jr. is now part of that ownership group, partying like 1983 when they last won the World Series. Well, I know the Orioles fans are absolutely really happy about having Cal Ripken Jr. back, but they also got Corbin Burns, and they still have the number one prospect pool in all of baseball, the number one farm system. And the Orioles are set up for long-term success for a significant period of time. They're going to have, a full 6-7 years of Holiday. They got like 4 more years of Rutschman. I'm not sure if he signed his extension or not. I haven't looked into that in a while anyway. But Orioles look like they're going to be one of the beasts of the AL East for a significant period of time. The Yankees right now are just trying to keep up with them at this point, along with the Tampa Bay Rays. They got a lot of aging players, whereas the Orioles are a lot younger and might have a lot more window here to contend with the new ownership group there. 2 private equity owners anyway, are the principal owners in that group. They might have more financial wherewithal to keep some of those players around as opposed to having to trade them before their rookie deals expire. So we'll see, what ultimately happens with the Orioles, but I really like the acquisition of Corbin Burns. Love the fact that they got new ownership there, and hopefully this propels them to more success in the future. But we'll see what happens with the Orioles. With the rest of the league anyway, some other news and notes. The Yankees did acquire Caleb Ferguson. The Giants are in talks with Jorge Soler about their DH spot. would be a good fit for them, but I still think the Giants need to do some bigger things. Looking at Cody Bellinger, looking at Matt Chapman, they need to add not one but multiple pieces to that lineup. They need some more starters. They brought in Robbie Ray in that trade that they made with the Mariners. Mariners have some money that they could spend, and they did spend some of it, bringing in Polanco, eating some of the money of DeSclafani. But I still think there's enough money there. If they wanted to, they could make a big-time acquisition like Blake Snell, a Seattle native. That might be their big, coup de grace moment. And remember, before we turn the calendar to 2024, all of the New York media was telling us, just wait, January is going to be huge for the Yankees. January is going to be so big. They're going to do so many things. And what did they do? Not much in the month of January. There is still some unfinished business there. Still early. Well, I shouldn't say it's early. We're still midway through the offseason. It's still not even spring training quite yet. It's close. We're not quite there. But we still got a month and change plus until we get to opening day. So Yankees still have some time to add another starter, to retool this bullpen a little bit. There's still some holes in that team. Maybe they decide to wait until the trade deadline and see what they want to do there. Maybe they don't want to spend the money on the free agent market, at the money or at the prices that Snell and Montgomery are asking for. Maybe that's ultimately what they were worried about. But they did half of their shopping list already, bringing in Juan Soto, getting the deal done to bring in Trent Grisham, bringing in Alex Verdugo. They've reshaped that outfield a little bit. Gotten a little bit more athletic and a lot more power in that offense as well. A lot less strikeout, swing and miss in there with Soto in there and Grisham. But I would still like to see them add another, front line or at least number 2, 3 type starter to that rotation. Snell on a bad year, probably a number 4 starter. On a good year, he's probably a number 1. So which Blake Snell do you get if you sign him? 2 out of the last 6 years have been Cy Youngs. The other 4 were relatively average. So that's just what comes with bringing in a guy like Blake Snell. You might get those incredible years, and then you might end up with a 4.5 ERA with walks through the roof, and he can't get through 5 innings. So we'll see who ultimately gets him. Cody Bellinger still out there on the market. I know the Cubs and Giants have been talking about getting that one done. Whichever team ultimately gets him, probably going to, have a real leg up in that NL wildcard race if that's the 2 teams, going for that NL wildcard late in September this coming year. Bellinger could be the piece that pushes the other team over the top. Cubs have done a nice job adding here at this offseason, whereas the Giants, still look like they've got so much unfinished business to deal with right now. They really have not improved that lineup over the last 3 or 4 years. Told you guys multiple times this offseason, if they don't make significant upgrades to that lineup this offseason, Farhan Zaidi will be fired by the trade deadline. Mark my words, he will be gone. And right now, he still hasn't done enough. I mean, that fan base was really looking forward to bring in, multiple free agents over the last couple of years and gotten a whole bunch of nothing ever since. They get a whole bunch of 1-year player option, team option type of contracts. They get the Mitch Hanigers of the world. They bring back Jock Peterson on a qualifying offer last year. That deal didn't finish great for them either. This team just doesn't have much going forward, going for it as far as an offensive perspective. Their pitching staff looks like it's probably going to be fine here in another year or so. They got some good a really good prospect coming. They have Webb. Ray is going to be rebounding from injury. Looks like they're going to have plenty of options to use as far as starters. Their bullpen should be decent. But that lineup just looks absolutely devoid of anybody to fear in that lineup. They need to bring in Cody Bellinger in the worst way, and if they don't get it done, they are absolutely going to move on from Farhan Zaidi, their GM. So let us know in the comment section what moves you guys still see happening here. One other move we did see was from the Chicago White Sox. They made a couple of trades. Gregory Santos goes to the M's in exchange for a minor leaguer, and as far as Santos, he came up last year with the White Sox. He's still got plenty of team control left. So a good move here by the Mariners, getting somebody on a young, cost-controlled deal here in Santos. He pitched in that kind of a shaky White Sox bullpen last year, but he was one of the few consistent pieces out there. I think he pitched like a 3 and change ERA as a first-year reliever. He was fantastic for them, and now the Mariners hopefully can see him grow from that success. But those are the moves we saw over the weekend. We just saw another move. Brewers bringing back Jakob Younis anyway. He's going to be on a 1-year deal, I believe is what I saw. Rangers made a few minor league moves today, bringing in Danny Duffy, along with a couple other players as well, some depth moves. They have 27 non-roster invitees, so don't be surprised if some of those guys actually break camp with the Rangers, especially when you consider they still have to move those injured players to their 60-day IL. Mailey, DeGrom, Scherzer. Once we get to the season, that's when they can make those types of moves and free up some roster spots for those guys on those minor league roster invites, the non-roster invites, those types of things. Other teams are doing similar things. They have multiple non-roster invitees, hoping some of those guys catch fire and fill in for injuries as they happen. So appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Make sure you guys join us again tomorrow night. We'll have our NBA trade deadline special again for you guys. We'll start that one around 8 o'clock tomorrow, and then our MLB Hot Stove Daily after that. Hopefully we get some big trades in the NBA. The NHL trade deadline is March 8th. We'll have that one for you guys here at the Upside as well. And y'all have a great evening. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys for all the support the last few weeks anyway. And y'all have a good one.